It's not even that creepy, but the first time it happened was the first time I've ever considered that anything supernatural might be real. Very occasionally at my desk at work, I hear breathing in my left ear. There's a wall behind me, a window to my left, but you can't hear any outside noise. I don't feel a breeze or anything, just hear it. It's peaceful and sad, like a sigh. My first thought was air conditioning, but it's such a clear sound that just cuts through everything, as if it's coming from a whole different world to the general office noise. It's very definitely only in my left ear, and I never hear it anywhere else. Every time it kicks in, I very calmly just get up and leave my desk for 5 minutes, and when I come back, it's gone. Not necessarily creepy, but definitely made me question reality. I used to work in a gas station. One regular customer was like night and day. One day he'd be soft-spoken and shy, the next he'd be obnoxious. His cigarette preference also changed from day to day, but he always came in the same work truck with the same guys at the same time of day. One day, he walked in and went straight to the bathroom. A minute later, he walked in again and came to the counter. Twins. It took me 8 months to realize they were twins, and not even identical twins either. They just looked really similar. I'm the type of person who keeps my bedroom door closed and locked all the time, no matter what, even if I'm home alone. So like a year ago, it was 1 a.m., and I had decided to get a glass of water before going to bed. After coming back to my room, I swore that I closed and locked my door. After about 30 minutes of me dozing in and out of sleep, I suddenly felt all the ambient noise completely dissipate and immediately got that something feels off feeling. I got up and saw that my door was wide open. It scared the shit out of me as I was home alone. I've just chalked it up to being a one-time mishap on my part. I have 2 wireless mouses, one for a work laptop and one for my personal laptop. When I let things get messy, I usually just stack one laptop on top of the closed one underneath with both mouses near the mouse pad. Okay, so I get a call from work saying I need to hop online. I open the work laptop and grab the mouse and start opening my work portal. I open email. I do my usual routine. Everything works fine. Then I realize that I'm using the mouse connected to my personal laptop on my work laptop. I shake the mouse. No response. It stopped working once I realized that it shouldn't be working. Ever since then, I've found it hard to believe that we don't live in some sort of a simulation. When I was 15, I was home alone hanging out upstairs in my bedroom. At the time, we had 2 small dogs. I was sitting in my room watching TV when the dogs started going crazy barking downstairs. It wasn't uncommon for them to bark when a person walked by or came to the door, so I just stayed in my room and thought nothing of it at first. They kept barking, non-stop, for probably about 10 minutes before I finally got fed up and decided to go downstairs to tell them to stop it. The stairs in my house led into the kitchen. As soon as I reached the bottom, I saw him. A very tall man in a pea jacket and top hat stood in the doorway between my kitchen and dining room. I could see no face. I bolted back upstairs and locked myself in the bathroom, where I called my parents. In the time I was waiting for them to come home, I began hearing several seemingly aggravated male voices outside the bathroom door. I was absolutely terrified. Eventually, my aunt arrived at my house to check on me. The voices faded. I was able to calm down. About 2 years ago, I got a phone call from my mother telling me she had been reading the local, very small town paper, and there was an article in it about my childhood home, written by the town historian. The house, built in 1805, had once been a local gathering spot for the elite of the small village. The first floor, now the kitchen, dining room, living room, had once been a parlor and tavern of sorts, while the second floor of the house functioned as a dance hall. Things in the house had been rearranged a bit, the staircase being one of those things, had been moved from what was now a second-floor bedroom closet, which would exit downstairs between the kitchen and dining room. My family was slightly aware of this, but never had the exact details of it. Very cool, I thought, until my mom continued reading. In 1836 there was an accident. 3 men got into an argument about their differing political views, 2 of them against the other. The disagreement ended with the 3rd man being pushed over the railing at the top of the stairs, landing at the base of the stairs, where he slowly suffered from and eventually succumbed to his injuries. The spot where he died was the exact spot I had seen the faceless man in the top hat almost 15 years ago. My mom clipped the news article, my father framed it and hung it in the dining room, right near the doorway into the kitchen. An hour later, while my father was home alone, he heard a crash. Upon investigation, he found the clipped article in its shattered frame, laying face down, 15 feet from where he had hung it. I always knew what I had heard was supernatural. Now you'll never convince me otherwise. You'll also never convince me to stay in that house alone again. I worked at a small retail shop that sold mostly small accessories and clothes. I have never really believed in ghosts, but my coworkers always swore the place was haunted. Lights would flicker randomly, and canvases would fall violently to the ground, despite my efforts of propping them up so that they didn't. The thing that really made me question everything happened when I was closing alone at night. We had a sunglass display in the middle of the store. Just a flat glass shelf with a bunch of sunglasses laid out nicely on top. I walk past it to the register and hear this huge crash. Look back and all of the sunglasses were on the floor. It looked like somebody just took their arm and dragged it across the shelf, pushing them all off. There wasn't anything above the display, so nothing could have knocked it off. I don't have an explanation for it. It was right as I was about to close, too. He was a rude ghost. I constantly had dreams of a red-haired kid in my dad's childhood home. It was my paternal grandparents and all my dad's sisters who lived there that never had this ghost. No one believed me when I talked about this kid. He began to play in the bathroom with me because he loved to play in water in my dreams, and it was downstairs so the adults wouldn't hear the water running. We moved out thinking this imaginary friend was a scream for help, or that, to my very superstitious parents, a ghost was contacting me. I recall an incident where I woke up in the bathtub with the water running one night and moving out 3 days later. My dad's cousins moved in, and their children also talked about it. Mystery ginger kid with blue overalls and green shirt, socks only and horribly stained throughout. I had never met these kids before at that point, but I instantly loved them for backing up my story of the ghost kid. To the rest of the family, I was being bratty because I was no longer the only child. The weird part was that the kid inhabited the kitchen. He inhabited the bathroom and backyard in my dreams, and constantly asked for food, whereas he only liked to splash water in mine. My dad's cousins had the house blessed by the local priest when, in the mornings, 1 or 2 of the 5 kids would be seen covered in food stains or dead asleep on their kitchen floor surrounded by half-eaten food. A therapist explained it as a shared psychosis, but it doesn't explain my own version of the kid and his fascination with food for the other children.